fire this up, and we'll just start out with it and get it going, and when Greg gets here, fine. I can hook up the other channels and they can pick it up later
Okay.
on the replay.
And I started not to wear as heck. I figured shade my face, but
No,
my hair looks so bad I wanted to wear it.
I think you're right. Here we go. Just give me a minute. Just sit there and look pretty, okay? I'll get us hooked up on Cheeseworks and whatever.
You got your lady home all right, I guess.
Yeah, she's in bed there. Recuperating. I gotta get in my house.
I think they might have called me about an hour ago to come get that COVID shot, but they talked so fast I couldn't understand them.
Oh, really?
And somebody told me that they call about 4:30 in the evening if they have some left, because if they don't use it, they got to throw it away because it's been refrigerated.
Yeah, no, that's true. You have to wonder how much of that they're wasting. Let's see, the door's unlocked. Yes, okay. Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to the Works Local Racing Roundup. And tonight, man, I tell you what, we're going to have some fun, aren't we, John?
Yes, we're going to have some fun.
And we are actually starting off tonight the way we kind of end some of these, and that is that we're going to do our Where Are They Now first. And for you folks that I'm sure most of you recognize who this is. If you don't, why, it's John Backlund. And as you can see up here on the TV, John Backlund, midget sprint car driver, CARB, Knoxville Hall of Fame, and I think you told me there's actually 5 of those that you're in.
4, I think.
4? What else?
BCRA and Belleville.
Okay, so the Belleville Midget Hall of Fame, or I never can get that
High
name.
Banks.
High Bank Hall of Fame, right.
And you said everybody knows me. There's a lot of these young people probably don't know me.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true, but that's what we're out to accomplish here on the Works, is to try and familiarize some of these younger folks with the history, because I think it's so important for us to know how we got where we are and what it was like and what you guys went through. I don't know, when I come down to your place this morning to get these pictures, I don't know how many times, John, I heard you say, no roll bar, no roll bar,
Yeah.
no roll bar, or no cage or something.
I didn't race with just the roll bar for very long,
Yeah.
just a year or two, but then they put the cages on.
Yeah.
But I spent my whole life trying to get to where I had enough prestige to drive a car without a
With
cage. And damn it, they didn't put a cage on them.
Because, like you say, back then you had to establish yourself before any of those guys were offering you any rides. But I think you told me that this picture that we've got right here, we were 9 years old,
I think
and
I was about 9.
you knew right then you wanted to be a race car driver.
Yeah.
Now, is that a steering wheel you've got your hands
Yeah,
on?
it was just a little coaster thing. It wasn't even mine. It belonged to somebody else, and I conned him into a ride.
Yeah.
But my dad used to take me to Riverside when he died when I was 12, and I'd already decided I was going to be a race car driver. And
Already decided.
in that picture right there, I was probably about 9.
Yeah.
And that picture there's a car I built myself when I was 17.
Uh-huh. And now that's Riverside too, isn't it?
That's
It looks like that
Riverside.
pit wall there.
We'd pit out up where the half mile used to be
Uh-huh.
and race on the quarter mile.
Yeah, as I recall, at the old Riverside, the parking lot was out past that.
Out east of there.
And I remember you walked by that wall, and
Yeah.
you could hear all those guys on the other side, and the noise, and motors running, and guys still tuning on them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was the first place I ever drove a race car.
Let's go back a minute.
Well,
here.
not really. It was awful close. I think a real race car is the first place.
Yeah.
I drove some claiming cars and stuff
Yeah.
like that down Excelsior Springs and stuff a little earlier. But
Yeah, okay. I had heard of my brother, my next oldest brother, told me something about a track that used to be down at Excelsior. In fact, if I remember right, him and I drove up to, I can't think, Platte City up there, and he was saying that they used to race up there because he was talking about buying a car and wanted to race at Platte City. Did you ever race there too?
no, I never raced at Platte City, but I remember I was a teenager racing at Excelsior Springs,
Uh-huh.
and we towed my car down there with a chain.
You're not the first one
Yeah.
to say that.
And go down and get all covered up with dust and dirt, and then
Yeah.
we start home and it start raining, and that all turned to mud because the rain blowing in on me.
For the guy that was being pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to ask you this. This almost looks like a sled here on the front. What in the world?
That's just my idea of having something on there. That car had a 51 Lincoln radiator,
Uh-huh.
a Model T frame, a Model A body narrowed,
Uh-huh.
a 51 GMC steering gear. You can see my half helmet hanging in the car.
Half helmet.
I wore that for about a year, and then they said I couldn't wear it anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford a helmet, so I went down to the hardware store and got some gold paint, spray paint, Krylon I think it was.
Uh-huh.
I had an old leather football helmet. And Krylon was making a gold helmet in those days, so I painted, and it had little things on the side like the real helmet.
Yeah.
So I painted that gold, and I got away with that for quite a while. I blew the whistle
A
on me.
football helmet. I'm surprised because, man, those things, of course, what year was this you're talking about?
That's in the 50s.
50s. I was going to
50s.
say.
I'm going to say 57. That's 57.
Yeah. Football helmets were pretty antique-ish back
Yeah.
then. But, and what is this? This looks like chain link fence here
Oh, that's just a piece of
on the windshield.
something to keep the big clouds of
Yeah.
dirt out there and mud. I wasn't very smart in them days, but I was smart enough to do that.
You were smart enough to.
I found that laying around somewhere, so I tied it in there.
Yeah. Now, I look at this real close here. I don't know if the people can see it. Is that the steering wheel?
Yeah, it was a big old GMC.
I was going to say, man, how big around was that thing?
And look at me, my little arms weren't much bigger.
Of course, I guess that was the thing to do back in those days because this was pre-power steering.
Yeah.
So you wanted as big a wheel so you could get as much, what do you want to call it, force
Yeah,
or whatever to do with that you could get.
right.
Because it'd be a lot easier to turn in with a smaller wheel where the
Yeah,
gearing
yeah.
actually increased or, decreased the gearing, whatever. It made it easier to steer.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I had parts out of a dozen different cars in that thing probably.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg.
Yeah.
Hi, lady.
Greg Clemens is here to join us, folks, and I think what I'm going to do, Greg, is I'm just going to let you kind of take over as I go hook us up. I got us going live, but we're only on Facebook with Cheese works, but I'm gonna go hook us up with everybody else, and there should be a slide every 30 seconds.
Okay, well,
This is one of his first, that was one of his first race cars.
And that's Mr. Bill Curtis, that's at the old lakeside. He'd crashed the night before at Topeka at the fairground, and he was stiff and sore, he didn't feel like he wanted to race, so
Yeah.
he hired me to drive his car on a one-night deal.
Yeah, great,
Candyman Bill Curtis?
No, not
No,
that one,
no.
this is a different Bill Curtis.
different Bill Curtis. Kind of a surprise. Keith couldn't make it, but John was kind enough to accept this morning. John Backlund, in case you didn't know who it
Oh,
was.
I know who John is.
Okay,
I'm the nervous substitute. And the reason I'm nervous, it's not every day you get to be on the Mike Kraft show.
Oh, you
Yeah.
Mike Kraft show. Now, according to some people, it's Greg Clemens' show.
Here in the Kraft Studios. I'll put it
Now
that
it's
way.
the John Backlund show tonight. You're center stage, buddy.
And that's at the old lakeside, and that car was belonged to David and, in fact, Williams, David, and can't think of the other guy's name.
I think I remember that car. That's the front straightaway there at Lakeside, coming out of turn 4. The wall was painted nice that year.
And this is a picture of me when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and if you look real close, there's a rope running from my belly up in the left
I
upper
see that.
corner. That's where they tie me to the post on my porch. So if they didn't, I'd be gone. My little grandmother, she'd be chasing me one time. She said I'd go over one hill and I'd see your little red stocking cap going over the next hill.
Well, that's your seat belt.
You know, I was going to California or somewhere.
Oh my, man, you were a wild child.
Oh,
then,
I was a mile or so from home when she finally run me down. And she didn't want to do that anymore, so they just tied me up.
Now look at this. This is an interesting
And
picture.
that's my son, Troy. I'm holding him in my arms. He's an old man now.
All right.
But that's a 56 Chevy that I started the year in 63. That's my own car, and I wore it out, and Steve Love, so when Kansas City, Kansas came along with a 57 Chevy that they finished the year with. The last weekend of the year, we went Friday night at Lakeside, Saturday night at Riverside, and Sunday night at Olympic. But the big deal about that was we used the same gear ratio.
Really?
I run third gear at Lakeside, second gear at Riverside, and run 50 laps in first gear at Olympic Stadium.
Wow.
It sounded like a chainsaw going down the straightaways. And this is along about 64, I think. That's a car I drove down to Taft Stadium, down in Oklahoma City. The fellow that owned this car had a shop over on Truman Road. And the only way into it was a man door. So if we wanted to go racing, we'd have to take about an 8-foot square of glass out of the front of his shop, take the car out and put the glass back in.
Wow. That's a cool, is that a name brand builder on that car?
No, that's just a little home-built car, I think. It's a real low-button deal. And I'd never seen that picture until a couple months ago, and Shane Carson sent it to me.
Well, you know, the thing that amazes me about those old cars, and here's another one, the classic tail tank.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those were hand-pounded out of aluminum and welded
I
and
think
formed.
I think on there sometime he's got a picture of Charlie Aldridge's Roadster. The whole body was all hand-formed aluminum.
Yeah.
That's
But
a
it
Bell-
took a craftsman to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And who's this?
Now, that's in Belleville, Kansas. That's my son, Troy, standing there beside us.
But you were sitting on the roll cage?
Yes, And this car belonged to Gene Chenoweth down in central Missouri. And I drove that car for a while. It was a safe car, an old CA car, but we weren't going very fast. So we were at Granite City, Illinois, and that's probably when this picture was taken. I told him I didn't want to drive it anymore. I was going to try to find something else. And 6 days later, they took it to Shawnee Speedway, and Jack Belka unfortunately lost his life in that car.
Oh, my.
And that's in Keith Kuntz's car.
Really?
Nowadays, Keith won't hire me. But that's at Eldora, and I was just passing through there in my truck with my racing gear in the sleeper. So I stopped, and Dean Franklin was supposed to drive that car, and he wasn't there yet. So he asked me if I'd drive it. I said, okay. I got in it, and I had to run a lap or two. I thought, there's nothing about this car I like. It didn't fit me or nothing, you know. And then by that time, I seen Dean Franklin coming through the gates. And man, I whizzed in the pits. I said, your driver's here.
Now, Dean Franklin, I remember
He's a good racer from down in Oklahoma.
back in the VW days.
Yeah. And that's out to Belleville, Kansas. I tried to get Mike not to use that picture. Somebody teased me that was my modeling days.
And your topless pose.
Yeah, it gets hot out there in the middle of August.
I don't blame you. And that's at Belleville, you said?
Yeah, Belleville, Kansas. That's my favorite track anywhere I've ever raced in my whole life.
Well, that takes some nads to drive around that, but
Well, the first time I went there, I went without a roll cage in a sprint car.
Oh, my
I ran
goodness.
fourth, and so I decided, hey, I'm pretty good here, so I was always pretty good there.
I
You
mean,
know how it is. You go to track the first time, you do well, and that's your track.
is that Belleville?
No, that's Tampa, Florida. It's a fairgrounds.
Oh,
Bill Roberts built I-70 Speedway, owns the 47 car. That's what I was driving.
mm-hmm.
The 45 was Stan Borowski. His closest car is Al Muri. And the fourth car out there, I think, is Jerry Weld. And then the 98 car, I think that was J.L. Cooper.
So that's the
all us Kansas City guys kind of stick together down there.
Kansas City corner at Tampa. I didn't never make it to that track. I remember when they tore it down.
It was just a sandy mess, you know.
Yeah.
Sandblasted car. And that's back to Belleville again. That's Ben Harmon. He's a Hall of Famer.
There's old Ben, yeah.
Yeah.
You ever drive his midget?
Well, that's it right there.
Is that his midget?
In fact, I drove that car when it was brand new at Riverside. First time I ever ran, and we ran fifth with it. So I just ran with it now and then, off and on. You know, whenever I wasn't racing something else.
So what track do you think that's at?
That's at Belleville. I was supposed to drive another car and broke an engine in it or something happened, and he come on and asked me if I'd drive that, and that's where my whole career's been. I've been a designated driver for so many years.
Well, I know you drove everything. I mean, my goodness. So,
That's a demolition derby that I won in Olympic Stadium back in the 60s. And you know what I did 2 weeks ago? I drove in another one out at Lakeside Speedway in my 80s.
in a demo derby?
80 years old. It took 2 or 3 of them to lift me into the car and 2 or 3 to lift me out. But every time I got out of the car, they had one of the 4 passenger mules right there to haul me back to the pits. I had a bigger cheering section and a bigger crew than I've ever had any time in my whole career.
Wow.
We had a ball. And we're set up, I got a couple sponsors to do another one in Gardner, Kansas on the 22nd of May. Put that on your calendar, folks.
Boy,
Gardner, Kansas.
I'd say, you know, the biggest response from the grandstands that I ever heard as an announcer was remember the weatherman, Don Harmon?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
drove in a demolition derby in Lawrence, Kansas, and the crowd was nuts.
Well, they made a,
I'm gonna have to interrupt you just a minute, okay? People saying they can't hear. So give me just a second.
they can't see it?
There,
No,
we've got
can't hear.
technical stuff. Our host is now
Well,
the
good, I haven't said anything wrong.
technician.
Now, that's at Riverside. I'm the clown with the hat on. My son's on the left and Jack Kennedy's on the right.
Oh, that's Jack on the right?
That's Jack Kennedy.
Right.
Jack and Richard Kennedy, they own a car that I drove for several years.
Yeah, I know the Kennedys.
And they're really good people, first class.
Yes, sir.
Jack's like me, he's getting where he can't remember everything real well.
You know, I remember their father, Max.
Yeah, I do too.
He was an old racer.
Yeah, and Max's wife, I can't call her name right now, she helped me big time quit smoking back in the 60s, I guess it was. She has a sister, they were twin sisters, and her twin sister was a heavy smoker, and she told me how her blood was purple instead of red, and she just encouraged me to quit smoking, and that's why I turned around and did.
Well, that's so you can drive demo derbies at 80 years old. You put those cigarettes down. Yeah.
And-
How long have you been smokeless?
I quit on my 41st birthday, so it's been a little over 40 years now. I've been quit just not as long as I was alive for that.
Wow. Man, that's great.
That's a fine race car. That's from Denver, Colorado.
5-car.
Yeah, I have Harry Conklin's car. This is Joe Saldana's former ride from Lincoln, Nebraska. That particular weekend, I won two pictures at Belleville, Kansas. Won one from about the 8th row, and then the next day I started from front row and led all the way.
Well, that car's got such a low profile. Was it also a pavement car?
I don't know if they ever ran on pavement. Those cars did. That's what they were basically kind of built to be a pavement car.
Was the motor off to the left?
Yes,
So you don't have a drive shaft under you.
No, it runs down the left
Right.
side of you.
There you are.
And that's in a Legends race up in Knoxville, Iowa. Everybody's supposed to be 50 or 55 years old or something.
Well, you look younger than that.
Well, I always looked a lot younger than what I was, so once I was 80 years old.
Well, that happens, don't it? So, Mike, is our sound better?
It's just still kind of low. Just keep talking.
Well, we'll try to speak up.
Speak up. The volume's down.
If you're just joining us, we've got John Backlund in the house, and man, he's been telling some great stories so far. We're just kind of going by the pictures. Here you're waving, and you got more of a 70s driver's suit.
Yeah,
Where was that at?
That's again at Belleville, Kansas.
That's
It
at
seems like
Belleville.
most of my pictures are from Belleville, but I've driven hundreds of cars in hundreds of places. I've raced from coast to coast and border to border, about half the states.
So were you at one point in time considered a helmet bag driver? I mean,
I always was.
Oh, you?
And I was kind of a designated driver. I was always walking around waiting for somebody to get fired or hurt or something so I could drive the car.
So how, out of all these years, how many race cars have you owned?
Not very many at all.
Not very many.
A few to get started, and then whenever I had a dry spell, I had a car or two, but mostly I just walked in and set my helmet bag down, said, "I'll be ready, boys," and drove for somebody else.
That's really cool.
Early in my career, I established a reputation of getting the most out of whatever I drove, and without tearing up too many of them, you know.
Well, you're a legend as far as I'm concerned. I've heard so many stories and seen you race a few times in my life. Not enough.
Well,
I'd like to go back in time, man, and travel
I would
with you.
too. I would too. The good Lord blessed me with a long, diverse, successful career, and that's all there is to it.
Wow.
And the Lord was with me all the way, or it wouldn't have happened.
You know, Jan Opperman had a station wagon that he traveled in so he could sleep in the back.
That car there, we won the I-70 championship the first year. Jan Opperman finished second in Bill Smith's Speedway Motors car. That's the car that's all hand-formed aluminum. The engine's offset to the left.
The roll cage and everything is aluminum, or the
That's a
body?
bolt-on roll cage. It'll come off.
Uh-huh.
You know, it is a regular mild steel
Right.
cage, but the body's all hand-formed aluminum.
Right.
That car is from down in Oklahoma City. Jack Minner owned that car. We came awful close to winning one of the early Chili Bowls with that car, believe it or not.
Wow.
And-
That's really a cool car. It's got those front knockoffs, and that's a VW motor, isn't it?
Yeah, and if we'd have won that Chili Bowl, I probably wouldn't have given you $3,500 for the car after the race. But in those days, they didn't know how to take care of the track, and they'd always slick off and didn't need all that horsepower.
Uh-huh.
So we were hooked up with that Volkswagen.
But a Volkswagen nowadays would not be competitive, would it?
I keep thinking I'd like to try it, but not really, I don't think. And that's myself upside down at Topeka Fairgrounds. That's Wes Stern, another Hall of Famer in that black car. And I can't remember, it seems like there's some, no, I guess there's not anybody behind, or the car right behind me, and I don't know who that is.
Well, underneath you there's
Yeah.
something white. What is
That's
that?
somebody's white wall tire or wheel or something.
Looks like a rim, yeah.
Topeka, I remember that wall. I went and knocked a couple of blocks off of that. in my late
Was
model.
that a fairly dangerous track? What was it about
It
that?
belongs-
Because, you know, Tiger Bob's brother, I believe, got killed up there.
Yeah, it was long straightaways and tight turns, but I wouldn't say it's overly dangerous, you know.
I don't know, man. This old fairgrounds track like
Well,
Knoxville.
Yeah, most of those fairground tracks were, but we raced here at nighttime, you know,
Uh-huh.
for the most
That's the
part.
same upside down car you were in.
Yeah.
Same, just another angle.
Yeah, the other cars.
Now what gets me is that rear tire. That looks like a knobby tread tire or something. The street
Well,
tire.
we used to just groove them up. They were racing tires that we'd groove up.
Were they like a drag slick?
Yeah.
Mhm.
This car I won at Knoxville, Iowa, back in about 81, I think. First time I ever drove it. Belonged to Art Range in St. Louis.
Well, that's a
Back in
midget.
the 80s, 2 years in a row, they had a midget race at Knoxville, Iowa, a week before the Nationals.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And 2 years in a row, I went up there and won in a car I'd never driven before.
Both years?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Do you remember what motor that is? That
That one, there's a Sesco. And
Is
the first year I won with a Volkswagen, and they didn't want any Volkswagens. They had this little knit, real tight knit
Right.
club, you know how they are.
Yeah.
And the president or whoever, the big honcho, he had a real fast Sesco, so he didn't want no Volkswagens. And we went for that Volkswagen, and the guys I was driving for, I'd never drove for a couple
Yeah.
farmers from up in Iowa.
All right.
He said, he said, you don't have to make it look good. He said, I'm not going to tear my engine down regardless.
Yeah.
I said, don't worry about that. It's going to be whichever one of us gets to the front, because in the fully inverted field, we were both of us on the back, and we
Yeah.
were so equal.
Uh-huh.
And I got to the front first, and I beat him.
I think you told me this is Belleville
That's
here.
Belleville also. We
Yeah.
wound up a lot of Belleville pictures.
Yeah, and the reason that I say that is, like we were saying, Miller Beer sponsored that for a long time. it
Yeah,
seems
well, they
like,
did.
as I recall.
And
There was a lot of beer drinking back then. You didn't got a beer sponsor
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah.
Harry Conklin from Denver had just bought that car. Never run it before. And I drove it first night at Belleville, qualified third, and won the trophy dash. And I come in and told him the engine was getting weak, so the next night he pulled out a Volkswagen. I had quick time overall for the 2 nights. That's when we had a lot of cars out there.
Yeah,
And I think I ended up running fourth in the feature.
yeah. It was so much fun back in the old
yeah.
days.
These
Like you
guys
said,
aren't-
you'd show up, there'd be 50 cars or, just a ton of cars there instead of now where it barely got enough for a
That
field.
weekend, I won 2 days in a row at Belleville. The next weekend, we're going to race at Lincoln, Nebraska at the State Fair.
Yeah,
I called him from Kansas City the day of the race. He said, yeah, we're all ready to go. And I said, I'll be here in about 3 or 4 hours.
yeah.
I drove up there, and by the time I got there, the IRS had repossessed all his equipment, and race cars, and everything. And so that car disappeared until it showed up at Speedy Bill's again.
Oh, really?
That's the
What a
car
story that is.
John Lane and Mark Randall restored that car.
Did they really? And where is it now? Is it a Speedway or?
It's Speedway in their museum.
Yeah.
Actually, back in '71, I won the BCRA championship out in Denver.
Yeah. Don't you love the sideburns, Greg? Look at that.
He got it going on.
It wasn't nothing but cool, was it?
Yeah, I mean, and boy, that dark hair there, John,
And I remember a story about that deal. Back in those days, I drank quite a bit. And we went up to Central City, way up in the mountains.
oh yeah,
You had
gambling
rinky-dink
town now.
town. It is now. It's ruined. It was a neat town back then.
Yeah,
We got to drinking beer up there at that high altitude, and I got drunker than a billy goat. And we finally come back down, and they got me sobered up, and we came back down to the banquet.
yeah. I'll be darned. Pretty
Yeah.
neat. How old were you, buddy?
Oh, I'd be in '71. I'd be
About 30 something?
30 years old.
Yeah, about 30.
Yeah, 30 or having my 31st
Yeah.
birthday.
He's in your prime.
And there's our picture of Belleville, Kansas. I don't know why they had those ugly tires out there
Yeah.
in Victory Lane.
Maybe that's why they
Yeah.
started using the backdrop.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they do now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So local tire shop is a sponsor, apparently.
Well, either that or the junkyard, one of the two,
Wow.
because
That's a VW,
And yeah, that's the Jack and Richard Candy car again.
is it?
Yeah, I drove it quite a bit. They had another driver driving it that was driving for nothing. And I said, I won't drive it for nothing. But I said, your driver's not winning many races. I said, I can win some races with that car.
uh-huh.
I won the very first night. I drove it at Bethany, Missouri. Bethany. And the next night I made junk out of it.
Oh, 68, that was their number.
That,
Made
yeah.
junk out of it.
Yeah. They had a red flag on at the end of the first lap, and it's so dusty you couldn't even see the flag.
Uh-huh.
And he ran out in the middle of the track, and the guys could see him, blocked him down,
Yeah.
and those guys in the dust couldn't see nothing.
Yeah.
I ran over somebody's wheel and about 20 foot in the air.
Yeah, it almost
And I
sounds.
spent a night in the hospital that time. I haven't
Yeah.
had to do that very often.
Yeah, it almost sounds like Bristol this past
Yeah.
weekend for the NASCAR.
Real similar, real similar.
I looked at that and I thought, gosh
Well,
almighty.
you know, that high banks at Belleville that probably didn't have none. I mean, Bristol don't have anything on that place.
No,
That was
no.
a wide open,
Oh, this, Greg,
more of a round.
I don't know if you ever been to
I've been
Belleville,
to Belleville.
but to me, well, like my youngest boy, Donnie, he still just talks about the racing at Belleville, about how fast it was and, how neat it was to see
I don't
the
remember if it was
midgets out
Jack Haley's car or Harry Conklin's car. I set a track record, and the trophy dash that still stands.
there. Really?
That back in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
When they threw the green flag, I planked it and never lifted till we got checkered.
Really?
I run 4 laps flat-footed.
Wow. I'll be
It might have
darned.
been in that one car right there.
You're driving the blue one.
Yeah, and Johnny Heidenreich's in this other one.
Yeah, listen to these names this
I
guy
know
talks
it.
about. Do you believe this?
It's
we
awesome.
got this guy right here on Cheeseworks.
I've raced with all my
This-
heroes. I've raced with Foyt, the Unzers,
Yeah.
Rutherford, all of them.
Last time we talked to John, we didn't have these fantastic pictures. Where did they come from?
Off his computer.
Just collected them down through the years, and then when I left town to go to Albuquerque 6 years ago, I gave all this stuff to J.D. Cormack, and he's got many miles of John Backlund set up on Facebook for me with all these pictures. And Mike was nice enough and come up and took them off my computer today.
Oh, really? So they're like haven't been seen before. by
Well,
many,
oh yeah,
many
Well,
they've been seen on the
They've
lot.
been around, but not on the not a national scene, but
not
not
on the scale of
on the
we're
scale
looking
that they're going to be seen
Another
here tonight.
substitute right there. I'm substituting for Chuck Labonte. They all got the horse around the night before out on the fairgrounds throwing rocks and bricks at each other and everything.
Yeah.
He got hurt and he couldn't race, so I got to
Yeah.
race his car.
Greg, I sat there this morning and just, I don't know how many times I told John, I said, man, this is just fantastic. This is like a walk through history here, Greg.
Oh, he's an awesome guest. There's no doubt about
I
it.
mean, these pictures
That
are worth,
Liberty?
Yeah, I lived in a
yeah, the go-kart track, the
There's
road
a fellow
course.
named Ron Manning that lived down here east of here.
Number 16. That was Ron Manning's cart.
Yeah, he had two cars and he let me drive one.
Yeah.
Now, did you, as a youngster, did you start out in a cart?
No, I didn't drive a go-kart until much later in my career. I couldn't afford a go-kart. I couldn't rub two nickels together.
Well, they didn't really, back in the 50s, it wasn't very prevalent, were they,
No.
karting?
I-70 looks like a small wall there.
I think that's Lakeside, ain't it?
No, that wall's too short.
That might be Granite City. I don't know where that's at. Sedalia, it could be a lot of places.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think
George
it's...
Egan's car from St. Louis.
Well,
I drove that car for him. I drove a Camaro, used that car for him,
Yeah.
stock car.
wow. Man, you knew everybody, didn't you? Or they knew you.
Well, at one time, I guess.
Yeah. Unreal. Just unreal.
48.
That was a one-night deal. A guy from Oklahoma called and asked me to drive it. So I said, yeah, I'll drive it.
Guess where that's at, Greg?
That's at the old Riverside.
Oh, don't tell him.
I'm sorry.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
I didn't hear you. That's Old Riverside.
Oh, Riverside.
Anybody could tell.
Oh, yeah, right. Sure. We were talking about it earlier. I think there you can barely see it in the background, the old filling station or whatever
Yeah.
back here.
And that deal only lasted one night. He wanted me to work on the damn race car. And I wasn't a mechanic. I was a race car driver.
Yeah?
So you're telling me that you'd come in off the track and you'd just say, hey, the car's this
I
doing
could
this
tell
or
him
not
what it
doing
needed,
that,
yeah.
and
I got
they
pretty
take
good-
care of it,
I
but
got
you
pretty
never.
good at that.
You-
Oh, once in a while I'd have to do something.
Yeah.
Did you ever use the word cadiddler pin?
Cadiddler.
No, I don't think so. That car belonged to Carol Cheek from
Yeah.
Houston, Texas, and I think that's at Houston, Texas.
Okay, Greg, what kind of motor is that?
I can't tell.
Oh, come on. You can see there's 3 stacks on this side, so it's got to be
It's a Corvair.
Yes, it
That's
is.
what it is.
All right. Okay, you passed the test, Greg. I knew you would.
He started building cars like radio control cars. I mean, several $1,000s.
Yeah, probably. What was that scale they run up there at Knoxville?
But I wrecked that car real bad, and then he put his son in it, like got killed in it. He sold the damn thing and
Yeah.
started running over radio control.
I think they were 5th scale, because like you say, they're probably like
Yeah.
this.
They had torsion bars. And
Yeah.
all
Oh,
that.
yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
That's at Little Springfield, Illinois.
Huh.
That's a little racetrack about like the old Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, it's
Olympic
tiny.
Stadium, St. Charles, Missouri, and St. Charles, Olympic Stadium, and Little Springfield were all about the similar to me.
Yeah.
They all had a real ragged, gnarly fence that eat you
Right.
alive,
Right.
but I never had any problem with any of them.
Belle Claire and
Yeah.
Little Belleville
Yeah.
and Macon. In
Yeah,
Illinois.
I
They're
run
all
them
little.
places. Kenny Schrader owns Macon now, or owns part of it.
Doesn't he?
And that's at Manzanita in Phoenix, Arizona. That's the Will Smink Special. He's going into the BCRA Hall of Fame this year. I've won some races out in Denver, that car. Now I wrecked it very severely at Manzanita. Just pretty well destroyed it. They rebuilt it, and I drove it, but it wasn't ever a good car again.
Yeah.
This car belongs to my friend Gus Somm, that lives in St. Louis, that owns a funeral home.
Oh my.
And everybody always told me that if I get killed in the dang thing, he'd give my widow a 10% discount.
There you go, Greg.
But we went down to these funeral homes where he kept it in the basement of his funeral home. He had those gurneys all over the place with sheets over, I don't know what. And he finally went around to one, he ripped it back, and I thought it was going to be a body or something. It was a V8 Chevy engine all taken apart and sitting on the
Oh my.
That's a dirt champ car. That's at Springfield or DuQuoin. I think Springfield.
Well, that's interesting. Look, the distance between the body and the right side tires is short. Why is that?
On
Do you
this
see
picture?
that?
Well,
It's offset to the
I
right.
think that's a little bit of an optical illusion, to tell you the
It
truth.
may be.
Yeah, it must be.
It's pretty much straight up, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that worked real well. I don't think.
That was a very, very pretty car. I just drove it a couple races.
Gorgeous.
But we never had much success with it. That's
Yeah.
Olympic Stadium. You don't remember Olympic, probably, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Okay.
I didn't realize
That car, I think,
John.
belonged to Chet Burbeck. And again, I drove most of the roadsters around the Midwest
Yeah.
because I had pretty good reputation in them.
Yeah, that roadster era is fascinating to me. I keep learning about more and more of those cars.
Yeah.
I mean, there
Yeah,
had to-
I've recently got on a site on the internet that's short track roadsters.
the one most famous one around here is the Weld
Yeah.
roadster.
Yeah.
That,
Then that one I drove with Joe Saldana, it was just like it. Don Brown built one for himself, one for Joe Saldana, and one for Grant Weld.
Yeah. One thing that I just noticed that I don't think I've ever seen before, look how close this tire is here.
Yeah, it rubs on the body a little bit.
Doesn't look
But
like
see,
it's 2
now
inches.
this one is offset. The body's set over there,
Yeah.
and the rear end's moved in.
Well, the motor, it looks like the motor's off to the left side also.
Yeah.
yeah, they that's the way they were so low because the drive shaft ain't going underneath
Yeah.
here. But
Oh, really goes beside
And
you.
that's an old shaker screen that pivoted in the middle.
Uh-huh.
I think the NASCAR guys were trying to do that down there the other day at Bristol.
Huh. I'll be darned.
yeah, they need to then make note of that shaker screen.
Yeah.
That's
And there
pretty-
again, no big right rear, just, a little bigger than the front tires.
Well, it's bigger than you think, but
Yeah.
again, part of that's optical illusion, I think.
Yeah. Now that looks like a
And
car
that's
from
that
Belleville.
beer car from Denver.
Uh-huh. To me, that was one of the interesting things about Belleville in the old days was, like you say, you had a group from California, you had a group from Denver, you
Yeah.
had the USAC bunch, guys from the Midwest around here.
Well, the
Yeah.
first race, the midget race they had out there was a challenge race between the Denver guys
Oh,
and
really?
the St. Louis guys.
Oh, really?
And then there's a few came in from California, too.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's the car I was telling you about this morning. The guy bought the car. He got to the racetrack late. I'd never seen the car or loan or either one. I got in the car, run the race, come in afterward. People come down, started asking questions and stuff. And this one little guy was asking some pretty good questions. And after we talked for about 10 or 15 minutes, I found out he owned the damn car. It was Harry Compton. I'd never met him. He hired me over the phone,
Uh-huh. I'll be darned.
They-
Belleville?
Well, yeah, that's the car we won with the week before at Knoxville.
Uh-huh.
And they had a wreck in the first turn, 6 or 8 cars, and I got into it just enough to break a tooth off the ring gear.
Uh-huh.
Those farmers took that car back to Iowa, and I've never seen it or heard of it again.
I'll be darned.
So I guess they sold it.
Now,
Wow.
that's I-70 there, I think.
No, that's St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
It was at Minnesota State Fair the first time I ever raced on pavement. And again, with no roll cage.
Yeah.
That's about as close to Indy 500 as you would get it.
Yeah, I guess.
Wow. Speaking of Belleville, I think you said you came close to winning that twice.
Yeah, I run second twice. I run fourth. I've run almost every position, I think, in the
Oh,
top 10.
Top 10. Wow. What do you think about that, Greg? You believe that?
Yeah, that's
And that's
amazing.
the car I drove the first time.
That 1E, I lettered that. That was
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, Michael L., I think, had that.
Wow.
Michael L. You know why the 1E's in that picture? Did you drive it?
Yeah, I bought it and drove it for a little bit, 1 year maybe, and I wrecked the dang thing down I-70 pretty bad. And I sold it to a guy that rebuilt, made a dirt modified out of it.
Huh.
I know his name perfectly well, but I can't call it right now.
Well,
Not Ronnie Hartford.
No.
No.
Well, that made my day, because that's definitely, I lettered
You
that
lettered
car.
that car?
And you drove it with my numbers on it.
How
I'll
about
add that to my memoirs.
And that there is the last night I ever drove a midget. That was at Belleville again. But only thing I did was worry about passing slow cars. And I was in a slow car, and when they started singing by me on both sides, it scared the devil out of me. And I said, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Boy, that'll give you the white knuckles when you're slow and they
Yeah.
come by you on both sides.
That's
Yeah.
the first time I'd ever been scared at Belleville after 30-some years. I told Mike today, the guy worked all night changing engines, went out to the second night with a new engine. He said, hey, you're a half second faster than you were last night. I said, there are tracks I have a second faster. We're still the slowest guy here. that car's from Phoenix, Arizona. That was my backup car. I drive for Terry Day. And we had trouble with the rear end or something, put it in the trailer, and I had Barry Butterworth lined up to drive this car. And Barry, when my car broke, he said, why don't you go ahead and take this one? And I just barely fit in that car, and a little Chevy 2-inch. It blew up, and I was so tight in the car, I couldn't get down to get it out of gear. So it's still cutting the engine up when I rolled into the pits.
I'll be darned.
Man, oh man, that's cool.
Now that's the 16 car. That's in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
That's the same car that you had up there at the Wisconsin Fair or whatever?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I run that car in 16 states that summer, I think.
Yeah.
Wound up 10th in IMC point standings. Would have been Rookie of the Year if it hadn't been for Lee Kunzman. You ever hear of him?
Yeah, no kidding. Right.
Man, that's so cool. That's the real deal there.
And you can see I'm just relaxed. And this guy here, his son told me here a while back, we're friends on Facebook, he said, you always look so comfortable in that car. And I said, I was.
I'll be darned.
And that's I-70 with Jan Opperman right behind me. I'm in that all aluminum roadster.
That's Opperman right there at I-70.
On asphalt.
I won the championship and they were second.
Golly.
These are amazing pictures.
Aren't they, though? I sat through this morning, Greg. Like I said, I told him, I said, man, I don't believe I'm doing this. This is...
And I got boxes of these.
Pictures.
That J.L.
Crazy.
Cooper's got. I gave them to him when I left town 6 years ago.
Man.
And these are just
Look
two
at
I
that.
left. That's Candy
That's
Brothers.
Kennedy's car,
See
yeah.
the writing on the hood?
Yeah, I painted
That's
that.
New Berlin, Illinois. First time they were on this racetrack. The JCs had a concession stand. I went and told them I'd put their name on the car if they give me and my crew Cokes and hot dogs. So I took black tape and put New Berlin KC or JCs on the hood.
Is that right?
Then
Right below the CBR.
Yeah. Right there in the middle.
Then I got over anxious and ran over somebody in the first turn, and that's the rest of the story. That's a picture at I-70 when I won my last race in a NASCAR modified. Jerry Weather's old car, if you remember, the orange 47.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to decide if that is Tom
Charles on the right.
Tom Charles on the right. I think it looks like him, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah. It's not very tall. You know, Tom's about
Yeah.
6'6", I think.
Well,
But-
he would have been awful young then.
Yeah,
So I had to
yeah.
take it.
That's a tall man.
Yeah.
That's probably not him, but it just looks like
I
him
mean,
to
he's
me.
the tallest one there.
At my age, everybody I see looks like somebody I already know.
Hey, that's Sunny Hill Motors was the sponsor.
Yeah.
Remember old Sunny
Yeah.
He had
Hill?
a trophy car down there.
Well, the thing we were talking about this morning was the size of that trophy.
My
This
first
is
little-
a feature winner here.
My
Yeah.
first little trophy at the drag strip, a trophy just about that size.
Yeah, I think racetracks need to step up their trophies nowadays.
Well, and
Yeah.
you find out about that when you go to some of these guys' shops and garages and stuff.
But
and-
some of the guys will say, I'd rather have the money, you know.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is dust them trophies.
Yeah, but those garages will be full of them. I mean, they care enough to display them out there, even though not too many people are seeing
Yeah.
them.
Well, the big deal now is them big checks. The
Uh-huh,
checks
yeah.
You hang in your shop.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
a nice thing, I think, is to give them to these kids and stuff.
Yeah.
I was too selfish. I never did that.
Yeah.
But now I got JD giving them people all over the United States for me, kids
Yeah.
and people who are sick. And
I'll be
That
darned.
means a lot.
Wow. So, Carb Hall of Fame 2004,
that was the first year I
Yeah.
recall.
got inducted into the Carb Hall of Fame. Quite an honor. I mean, you know, let's face it, John, it's the best in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Belleville High Banks Hall of Fame and BCRI were all real credible places.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
each one I was in the first year or the second year.
Yeah.
I was just coming along about the right time when they started building the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That is not in Kansas City.
No, that's not far from it. That's California, Missouri.
Yeah, it's double X.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's another one-night deal. I was in that black car, and I can't remember the fellow's name. He was from here in Kansas City.
I did not realize they had guardrail down the back.
Well, it's different now.
No.
It's
Yeah,
different.
this was many years ago.
I don't know if they've got those crash barriers back there now. I can't remember.
They got a big concrete wall back there.
Something, yeah. And it's a lot taller than that, I think.
Right.
Now, that's the car I won my last two races in, and it was so unsafe. And they wanted Troy, my son, to drive it, and I didn't want him to drive it.
Uh,
So I was afraid he'd get hurt in it, and I knew I'd drive it accordingly.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and
I'll be darned.
I won my last two races in that car. I won at Lakeside, and then the next year down I-70. That there is Lakeside, I think.
I'll be darned. Is Troy in there with you?
No, no.
He didn't like losing too much.
Uh,
He didn't like losing too much.
He won a modified Madness out there. It's one of the biggest
Yeah,
races.
yeah.
He won it 1 year, and 4 or 5 years later, I won it. We both won
Did
it.
you really?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
But I don't think
Yeah.
it was that night.
Now there's Knoxville.
That's the Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
not the National Hall of Fame.
yeah. The track Hall of
The
Fame,
track
not the
Hall of Fame.
national.
Where they had the wall of fame.
Yeah, yeah.
The National Hall of Fame, I don't think I'm even on their radar. But if there was room for everybody,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be as nice as it is for the people who are already in there.
Yeah. That's true. You're right. Still, I mean, Knoxville Hall of Fame. That's it.
That's a big deal.
It's still a
That'd
pretty
be a big deal. That's
Yeah.
New Zealand. I'm in
Okay.
the back with a yellow uniform.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon's second from the left in the front row.
Right down here, Greg.
Yeah.
Barry Butterworth's next to him.
Right over here.
And Barry's brother is Max, the second one from the left in the back.
Yeah, right
So
there.
did you all, that picture, do you all represent different car owners, or was it like
Yeah.
a team deal?
No, it's a different car. They just asked us all to get together.
Yeah. Were these all Americans?
No, most of them are
Aussies?
New Zealand.
Or New Zealanders?
In that
the only one
picture?
who's not is Jeff Gordon and myself.
Oh, really? I'll be darned.
That's the Camaro I bought from Joe Wallace. And I bought it at the racetrack at I-70 after a big 100-lap IMCA race. And I spun it in the inside guardrail qualifying.
Yeah.
When they started the race, I was in the infield making repairs on it.
Uh-huh.
When we got done, they were already racing. I just went out there and started running. I wound up ninth with it.
I'll be darned.
And then I sold that car at the end of the year to a couple guys up in Nebraska, and they pretty well destroyed it.
Oh, that's
Did
too
Now
bad.
look at all the people in I-70.
Oh, man.
Isn't that
yeah,
something?
that was the day.
Wow.
Was it back in those days, was it hard to make a transition from open wheel car to a big old stock car?
It never
like
much was for me. I drove so many different cars so early that I didn't think much about it.
that? Well,
Yeah.
none of them had power steering.
No.
No.
And that car, I won my last midget race in it, in that picture. And if you look real close, Steve Knepper's
Right back here. This guy.
I can't see him right now.
You got a red hat on? No.
Maybe he's not in there.
Kind of thin, or is the guy here?
But anyhow, he's one of the best midget drivers
Yes,
in
he
the
is.
country.
Yeah.
And I came from the 8th row and blew him off right at the end of the race with
Okay.
a little high-dollar Volkswagen.
Okay, Greg, you know where this is? Do you remember this at all?
No. I
That's
just
the-
know that old boy's got some long legs.
Yeah, the ticket booth at the old Lakeside.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
down there where you went in when you
That's
turned
down
off.
by the road.
Where you turned off Leavenworth Road.
Right.
I got out of work and I started clowning for a while.
Is that you?
I worked at racetracks in 4 different states, including the Chili Bowl. And I'd go make my money, have my expenses covered, but don't go wash the makeup off and then get in a race car. And that car is...
And you didn't sell programs too?
No, I didn't. I got overcome by the heat down at 81 Speedway one time. And
man.
they had a bunch of the NASCAR guys down running dirt cars.
Yeah.
And I was working as a clown, and I got overcome by heat, and I started collapsing, and my wife got a bunch of them around me, and they caught me and put me in the ice house. Well, I've had trouble with heat ever since then.
Oh, right, yeah. Once you
That's
have that,
Webb
it's pretty hard.
Spalding, if you've ever heard of him,
Oh,
yes,
in the 1X
yes,
car, and
yes.
I'm in a 14. We're at St. Charles, Missouri, and I've won there in both of those cars.
I'll be darned.
And that's that
46.
dirt champ car. That's a DuQuoin, you can tell by the fence.
Right. That's gorgeous.
Isn't that some picture
that's
there?
a good shot.
Man, I mean, that is...
We didn't run very far and the motor broke, I think, or something.
And even that sideways in a champ car on the mile.
You're getting into the turn, scrubbing off speed.
Wow. Of course, we were talking just about Bristol. How fast were you going on this mile track? You got any idea?
I don't know.
You never...
Over 100. I never think about turns a mile per hour.
Yeah.
I quit a long
Probably
time ago.
130, 140.
I would have quit a long time ago if I realized how fast it was.
There's another.
That's that all
roadster.
aluminum one. That's at Marshall, Missouri. And the first time I ever drove that car was at Olympic Stadium. Wes Fairman was supposed to drive it. He was late getting there. They put me in it, and I won the feature.
Oh.
First, I spun out in the heat race and busted that aluminum nose off the front. I thought, well, that's the end of that. But he let me go back out in the feature, and I won it. And then the next year, we went down I-70 and won the championship.
I'll be darned.
So that was a dirt and pavement car.
What is that on the hood thing there? I can't read that. Can anybody read that?
It says Aldridge Roadster.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's down at Manzanita in Phoenix. Rayleigh Goodwin's in the car. Buddy Taylor's to the left. I'm in the back, and Jerry McClung's over on the right. And just kind of a publicity deal.
Yeah. But Goodwin drove that car.
Yeah, that is his right, I think.
That's an awesome picture there.
Wow, these are just so
And that
fantastic,
been,
John.
that'd been in the early 70s.
So did you and Ray Lee, did you know each other really well?
Oh, yeah. We've been friends forever.
Would
Yeah.
you travel together to Manzanita?
Not a whole lot, but we've been friends for a long time. We can both tell stories on the other one.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah. Got any idea who that is, Greg? See the number 4 back there?
That's a Kraft car.
That's Charlie's car.
Charlie
You
Kraft.
all know
Charlie
before.
Kraft.
The throttle struck that night on the south turn of Olympic Stadium. Charlie was out of town on vacation. Al Burke Sr. helped me put it back together. The next week I went down the north end of the track and the kingpin busted it. We'd fractured probably in this crash.
Wow.
2 weeks in a row I turned it over.
Huh.
And Charlie's on vacation.
Yeah.
So we told him we hurt the car, but it's not too bad. And that seat, you can't tell, but it's like a restaurant seat or something.
Well, I was thinking it was like a old plastic, as I recall,
Yeah,
plastic.
when you're sitting at the bar or something.
Yeah.
This car,
Mount Vernon, Illinois.
no, yeah, that's where he's from, Mac McLean. That's taken at Sedalia. The man with his hand on the car owned it. And he told me that day that that's the car that Troy Ruttman used to win Indy with in 1952.
Right.
Where it is or not, I'll never know. It had wire wheels on the front. It was old enough to be the car. And I've traced him down a little bit in Facebook, and I found he lived all over up there in Illinois, but I can't figure out where that car went when it left him.
Huh. Wow.
That
Unbelievable.
definitely looks like an Indy
It
ride.
was old
Yeah.
enough to be an old Indy car.
Yeah. Is that an offie in
And
there?
if that is it, it's in the Hall of Fame at Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever carry your helmet
it had
to
a V8 in it.
Indy and try to get a ride?
Raceway Park, I got a ride one time that way. They were
Yeah.
getting ready to start the feature. Greg Will, another big name driver, and myself were all three running around the infield trying to decide what to drive. There's only 2 cars available, and I'm the one nobody knows. We got our car. Had my car parked in the infield. I went over, got my helmet bag out of there, put my parachute on,
Yeah.
put my helmet bag down over by the car, and set on the left rear tire. They got down to the last hot lap station. He said, "Well, you're low and ready. You better get in it."
Wow.
And that was Ronnie Burke. And he didn't know me from nobody, and I didn't really know him much. But then I found out later his arm was in a cast. He went out of the ballpark at Salem the week before, so
Oh,
he
really?
wasn't driving.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I hate to say it, but I think that's the last picture.
Oh, no. I
man,
was
Yeah,
gonna have
we're
fun.
just getting wound up here, weren't we?
Hey, can we show some of the ones from the very first, since
You
we
wanna
didn't
see
have
the ones you
audio?
missed?
Well, we had audio, but it was just pretty low. But
There you go.
this is when he was 9 years old.
That's about the time I decided I was
Yeah.
going to be a racer.
And,
Whoa.
I'll just sort of
Is that a
skip through.
steering wheel or?
Yeah, it's a steering wheel.
Well,
Yeah, it's just a coaster. It didn't have a motor in it.
I see.
We find a steep hill and coast it.
Did you find the one where the rope you were tied with the rope?
Oh, it's in there somewhere. We'll come
Yeah.
up pretty quick. I
Yeah.
built that car when I was 17. That's over at Old Riverside.
You built the car?
Yeah. 58 Plymouth hood for a firewall, 51 Lincoln radiator, 51 GMC steering gear, Model T frame, Model T body narrowed to fit the frame.
Oh, wow.
I just made out whatever I could find or get a hold of.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, we saw these, but I'm not sure people heard us talk about it.
Yeah,
That 102 you drove for Bill Curtis.
Bill Curtis
Yeah,
in Kansas City,
yeah.
Kansas. It's not the same Bill
Right.
Curtis you knew.
That's why
Yeah.
the 102 threw me.
Whoops. There's the rope.
There's
There's
the
the-
rope.
There's the rope.
John Backlund with a rope tied around him in
Yeah.
the front yard because they knew he'd run off.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple of times.
You were a traveling man.
Yeah.
This one here, I was going to ask you, why is it in the street? Any particular reason? Did you drive it down the street?
No, I don't remember why. I know there's a hill on the side of my house, and most of my old cars I'd park there so I could coast them and start them. I don't know what to do with a crazy car. But I built that car in a one-car garage with a dirt floor,
Yeah.
and that other one I showed you, I built it in a one-car garage with a dirt floor.
I'll be
So
darned.
did it get
And I
cut?
didn't have a hacksaw. I cut the body in twice with a wood saw.
Oh, my.
Straightened out coat and hangers and welded it back up.
Boy, this so much reminds me of the old days here,
And
Greg.
that's back in about 64. That's the car that come out of the window on Truman Road.
Wow. Unreal.
Yeah, the building didn't have a garage door, so you'd have
So
to take it out
we
the
had to take
window.
the window all apart to get it out of there.
Now, this was Troy, if I
That's
remember
Troy
right,
at
sitting there
Belleville.
or standing there with
And
you.
that's a USAC car. I drove a 14 car for years, and he didn't have a bladder, so we couldn't run USAC. And I wanted to
Yeah.
run USAC. These guys had a bladder and a real good dry slick car. So I quit the 14 car and started driving this car and drove about half a season. We only went to 1 or 2 USAC shows. We weren't doing any good.
Yeah.
So I quit, and they were leading the point standing by a mile. I was leading them by a mile.
Yeah.
I went back to my 14 car and finished the season. And the last race of the year, I won him the championship, and I had it all along.
Oh, really? I'll
Yeah.
be darned. You look like you put on a little weight in that picture, John. Most of these you look really thin.
I've lost about 20 pounds right now.
But you look like you're,
Yeah.
from these other pictures, you look a little heavier there.
Well, that's about the time I was owning the shirt. So he's making pretty good money and eating
Yeah,
good.
good.
Eating something besides bologna and cheese.
Now this
Yeah.
car was also, for if you didn't hear before, Keith Coons owned this midget, and you drove for him back in what,
Just in hot laps at Eldora,
Eldora.
Yeah,
and it would have been in the 70s probably.
yeah. Guys, I think we're going to have to
I
wrap it up
understand.
as much as I hate to say that.
Just
'cause
starting to have fun, getting over my nervousness.
We've got 40 minutes of videos to play for everybody, but John, just let me say again how much I appreciate you accepting this challenge at the last minute this
Well,
morning
I certainly enjoyed it.
and coming sitting in with us. And these pictures are just priceless. I've got a couple of those already.
Well, next time
But I'll take one. I'll take one.
if we do this again one of these days, we'll dig out some more pictures.
Yeah,
So they're-
absolutely.
They're
In
available.
time.
If anybody wants to see more pictures, look on the Many Miles of John Backlund
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
Many
Yeah.
miles of John.
John is J-O-N. The Many Miles
Yeah.
of John Backlund.
J-O-N, not J-O-N.
Yeah, they got it spelled wrong there, Bill.
No, I got J-O-N.
That's L-A-N-D.
Oh, I got about as much out of this as I have anybody.
My name's L-U-N-D. and that's it.
L-U-N-D. Oh, well, okay, I apologize.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people do that.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to have to wrap it up, I'm
I
afraid.
understand.
But like I say, boy, thanks a lot.
I was just starting to relax and have a good time.
Just like being at the track and getting comfortable in the
Yeah,
race car.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I hope the people who are viewing this enjoyed it a little bit.
absolutely.
I don't see how you could. It's great.
The pictures alone were worth 1,000 words, as they say.
They're worth a lot more than my talking, right?
Yeah, well, no, your stories are fantastic too. But anyway, folks, just stay seated for a second, guys. And
Okay.
Let me introduce this. What happened was I went to the World of Wheels last Saturday, and while I was there, I had the opportunity to interview some drivers. And part of the reason why I wanted John to come on is that the first two drivers are Wyatt Burks and Mark Lane from the MWRA.
Okay.
And I thought, well, we're going to be going right into that. Why not get a sprint car guy in there? And believe it or not, I tried to get hold of TJ Gidding, but I just never did come up with a phone number. And a couple of other, Kurt Grogan, I tried to talk to him. And
Kurt would really be good.
well, I've called Kurt 3 or 4 times. If I didn't know better, I'd swear he was trying to avoid me.
Kurt knows more about my career than I do.
Yeah.
Him and Cunningham.
Cunningham.
Ray Cunningham.
Ray
Yeah.
Cunningham. Those two know more about my career than I do. I've forgotten so much.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well,
I'm getting there too.
You remembered an awful lot.
Yeah.
though.
Well,
Well, I
and that's
can't
only
believe-
because I've had these pictures to look at all the
Yeah,
years.
I can't believe every one of these, boom, boom, boom. I mean, it just popped right out of his brain. That
Yeah,
motor
I'm just
was
making
this.
it up as I go along.
Yeah, owner, this car owner. Yes, I
So
couldn't
you
believe
don't got to run off. You can hang around with us for a little while.
it. Well, you can, but you won't be able to see them. They'll be playing on the camera. But anyway, once again, from the World of Wheels, it was Wyatt Burke and Mark Lane from MWRA. And then we had just a short interview with Leroy Morrison. Of course, Leroy just back from Bristol. And we talked to him about the feeling of the speed and stuff and, what's going on down there. And then Shawnee Lanning, of course, Shawnee was the E-Mod champion at I-35 2 years ago. That would have been 2019. And then Michael Knight, who has been driving some stock cars, and he will be racing at I-35 and Lakeside, I believe. And then 2 newcomers, Greg. Now, are you ready for this? Here we go. Cameron Cook, who is going to be driving a late model
I met that gentleman at Lakeside.
at I-35. Now, I think he had 1 race in a Grand National last year, and he went out and bought a late model. him and his dad, that's all there is. They're going to do limited late model racing at I-35. I told him, I said, just stay in the back and get some seat time and don't break the car.
Very nice young man.
Yes.
A beautiful race car, and
Yes.
I really enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah, absolutely. But Cameron Cook will be doing with him. And then how about 12-year-old Ava Dixon? 12.
Young lady?
Young lady.
Are we still on the air?
Yes.
One thing I forgot. You people, I'm starting a second career racing demolition derby cars. I run fourth and won 2 weeks ago at Lakeside. I've got a couple sponsors to run another one at Gardner, Kansas, the 22nd of May.
Oh, really?
Christina and Richard Smith have stepped up and sponsored me.
Okay.
And I'm maybe starting a whole new career at 80 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say, they have been associated with some of the best drivers in the sport.
They're wonderful people.
Right.
I mean, just think about it for a minute. Kerry Davis, Chad Lyle, John Backlund,
Oh, yeah.
But they're sponsoring me now.
Bobby Golden.
Bobby Golden.
Whoever's driving for them this year better step it up, because I might be moving
Up. You're looking for a modified, right? Okay. But anyway, 12-year-old Ava Dixon, going to be in the pure stocks and driving in that class. There again, no experience, no go-karts, no motorcycles, no quads, nothing, Greg. Same way with Cameron Cook. Cameron Cook. Same way. But anyway, folks, we are going to play those for you right now. Like I say, it's about 40 minutes. So just hang in there. And I think Greg will probably be gone later. We'll let him and his mom get out of here. But I'll be back probably with a little closer when that thing's all over. But we're going to do that right now. Once again, thank you, John.
I truly enjoyed myself.
Good.
I had a good time.
You ain't the only one, buddy. We all did. Give me just a second here, and we will play those.
So did you go, what he's saying, were you at the World of Wheels car show?
No, I didn't
No.
go there. Too much walking. I can only walk about 100 yards, and I can't say.
Hey folks, we have caught up with MWRA booth here at the World of Wheels, and we have got the points champion from last year, Wyatt Burks. Wyatt, I'll tell you what, for the first year of competition, this series come out of the box. I mean, going gangbusters.
Yeah, it really boomed. I think our first race we had 35 cars, so it was great to see it take off, and I think it's going to even get bigger this year.
Absolutely. I think what was kind of funny was, if I remember right, they were talking about that they were maybe only going to have like 10 or 12 races, and I don't know what it ended up, but I think it was about double that almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we had about 15 shows last year, and I think they got 15 to 17 shows scheduled for this year, so it should be busy with them and the war. I mean, there's plenty of races around here for this year, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I think it's so neat because it really feels like Kansas City has really become a hotbed for wingless racing. You know, and of course I give Dennis Shroud credit for out at Valley for kind of getting the ball rolling, but anyway, it seems like everything's kind of rotating here around Kansas City in this area now.
Yeah, it definitely took off over the last probably 5 years, I think. Dennis had it going on at Valley, and then other people started making the traveling series come around, and it definitely boomed. And it's great because it's pretty affordable. You can come out on micros and get up into these, and you're not spending a lot of money compared to like if you were doing a wing racing deal. So,
what, in your opinion, and I know you're a driver, so that kind of puts you in the category all by yourself, but anyway, what has made the series so popular among the drivers? Now, I know some of the things that they were talking about that they really wanted to do was to try and cut down on the cost of some of the entry fees as far as the racing itself went, but it just seems like the competition level has just been terrific besides that.
yeah, it's great. A lot of it's just how they treat everybody when they get to the track. Raul and Lonnie and Kelly, everybody in this group, they do a great job. I'm excited for the other two people coming aboard. I think it's Del Hogan and Chris. I can't remember Chris's last name. And then you got Ray Cunningham coming aboard this year too. So it's great, and they keep bringing more people on, and it's going to be awesome. So.
Out of all these tracks that you've run so far, I mean, I know you've done Valley quite a bit. But what has been your favorite track to win at? And of course, I think the normal answer for a driver is where you won the most. But what's your favorite track for here around the Kansas City area?
Honestly, I don't really have a favorite one. I like US 36 a lot. We seem to go really good there. I think the worst I finished in the last 2 years there is second. So I like 36, but one I'd really like to win is the Hawken Memorial down at Wheatland. I've came close, I don't know how many times on the final night, and I'd really love to win that one eventually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would have to think for a wingless driver, that would have to be one of the big special ones because of Jesse Hockett just himself and him. I can remember just like it was yesterday, him winning a race out at Lakeside when they showed up out there without the wing. I think one of the first times, and a lot of the USAC guys and whatever were helping him out setting the car up. And then he goes out and wins the darn thing. But Jesse was just a legend here in open wheel racing around Kansas City.
yes, for sure. I never really got to race with Jesse, but I came to get to know Jack pretty well the last few years, and they seem like a great family, and he's definitely missed, that's for sure. So
yeah. Well, and such a big shock the way that all ended too, with him, and his untimely death. But just like to say, a terrific guy. But what are you looking forward to mostly this year? Is there just something that sticks out in your mind? I mean, I think every racer, of course, goes into the season with expectations. What are yours? Is it a repeat, or what are you looking forward to?
ours is just to go out and win. We'd love to get the Smith & Lovelace and Ultraline Hobbies, Torgerson Trenching, Weber Wattawa car in Victory Lane again. That's what we like to do, and hopefully we can pick up a couple wins next weekend when we start off the season at Lake of the Ozarks.
So the first race is next weekend at Lake of the Ozarks. Now, you've raced down there before. What are there, how do you want to say that? I want to say exceptions to that track that a driver has to get used to. I mean, I'm sure every track has its own character, but does Lake of the Ozarks hold anything that, that you've seen that you just have to really watch out for?
Not really. To me, Lake of the Ozarks kind of reminds me of where I grew up racing micros was Sweet Springs. It's kind of formed, it ain't really formed like it, but it's got the inside berm and stuff just like Sweet Springs. It gets slick and everything, but I struggled there the first time we ever went there. I didn't even make the feature, so that was pretty disappointing on our end, and then after that we kind of got figured out, and we've picked up I think 3 or 4 wins there now, so I'm looking forward to it. I feel really good about this year. I mean, our car was great last year, so hopefully it continues on into this year. So
I was just wondering, was there a low point last year where you kind of thought, man, we may have to rethink this a little? I mean, that's hard to believe for a points champion, but I think every racer, you have them low points where you're thinking, man, I've got to change something. Something's got to happen here.
Kind of at the end of the year, we started trying some other stuff to get better, see if we could get better, and we struggled a little bit, but I think we kind of came on to a few things at the very end of the year, and I wasn't running this car at the very end of the year because this is one of my favorite cars, so we went to my backup car, so I'm excited to try those new things with this car.
Yeah.
I think this car will really pick up on it, so.
Well, speaking of the car, tell us about the chassis, who's making the power, anything that, that helps make this thing fast.
Yeah, it's an Eagle. It's a Big E, and the motors underneath the hood is Salina Engines out of Salina, Kansas. Adam there, he builds some great motors and can't complain. But I mean, Smith & Lovelace and Ultraline Hobbies, Torgerson Trenching, Weber Wattawa, KH Suspension, Binders Express, Jaden's Hope Foundation, Lazy Yellow Ranch. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but Rod End Supply, all these people on here, they make a huge difference. If it wasn't for all of them, we wouldn't be able to do this. I mean, especially my mom and dad, and my car owner that passed away a few years ago, Donald Rumsey. If I didn't have him come into my life a couple of years ago, I don't even know if I'd still be racing. So.
Absolutely. I thought Chad Gulf made a good comment that I seen on Facebook here a while back. No, I'll take that back. I was talking to him on the phone is what it was, and he was telling me about MWRA and Raul's leadership as far as leading that organization. He told me that I think he won more money for 10th place or something. I think at least $1,000 if I remember right, something like that, than I think he'd ever won any race series or whatever that he'd been in. So not trying to be too personal, but what did the points championship pay for this year?
Yeah, I paid $3,000 to win the point steal this year with him, and I think to run 10th was $1,000, which is really good for first starting series. I mean,
Yeah.
most time it ain't even close to that when you get your final point steal. You're looking at a couple $100.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool deal, and it's exciting for the drivers. It makes it more worth the while at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I look for that to only be bigger this year because the series has become so much more popular, and you know that that's going to have more sponsorship because people see that and realize, you know, what's going on in this series. Plus, I think you guys were already doing some stuff with USAC and Flow TV, which I'm sure all those races this year, I'm going to be on Flow TV if I remember right. So, like I say, the sponsorship stuff's just only going to get better, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it's awesome. We got a couple of races at the USAC National deal this year, so that'll be exciting. It'll get more exposure to the sport, and hopefully we can get a bunch of people to come to the races this year. And COVID's kind of dying down a little bit, it seems like, so hopefully the stands will be even more full, and it'll be a great season.
Yeah, man, I got both my shots. I'm ready to go, man. Let's get on this race season. Let's get it started. And I wanted to go to I-35 last night, but I didn't make it. But like you say, I-35, man, you run pretty decent up there, too.
Yeah, I-35's pretty good to me, too. I mean, there's a lot of tracks around here that's been pretty good to me, and I've been very fortunate. Everything's been clicking the last couple of years. So, like I said, I'm hoping it goes like that again. I mean, you can get in the slump, too. So it's just all about luck and putting yourself in the right positions and just staying calm and cool and collective. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's that saying? Something about hero today and zero tomorrow?
Yeah, it can happen very fast.
I was going to say that has to be a racer's nightmare, but I know how that is. You know, I race radio-controlled cars, which I think I've talked about before. But it seems like, man, you're on top of the world, you know, for 6 months, and then something goes south, and you're fighting it, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's for sure. It can get very frustrating, but it makes it all worthwhile when you win one. So it definitely, it's an up and down sports, and right now, like the last couple of years, we've been on and up, so hopefully it continues like that.
Okay, if you had one word for a new racer, a new sprint car racer that was wanting to do this, get into this wingless stuff, what would be your statement or your comment to him about why he should race with NWRA?
It's a blast. It's like a big family. It's a second family is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, it's fun to just go out there and hang out with everybody every weekend. We all work for a living, and then we get to go do this as our hobby on the weekends, and it's a blast. It takes up your whole summer, and there's nothing like it. So.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree. And of course, I'm an old sprint car fan from way, way, way back. Seen a lot of the greats do this and back in the wingless days too, and it's just so much fun to watch these wingless cars. But anyway, Wyatt, all I can say is I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to the season. I know you are. So fans, all I can say is if your local track has got an NWRA race at that track, I highly recommend that you be there because it's going to be exciting. It'll be fast. It'll be fun. And it'll just be an enjoyable evening for you and the whole family. So Wyatt will be there. You can count on it. You know he's going to be back going for that second championship. So just watch out for Wyatt. What number is this beast? 11?
11W.
11W. Right out of Topeka, Kansas, folks. He's right from around this area. So it ain't like we got some guy from Illinois or somewhere coming over here and showing us how it's done. We got guys right here that's doing it and you know, really making a show out of it. But anyway, Wyatt, thanks for talking to us here at the World of Wheels. And all I can say is let's go racing.
Thank you.
Mark Lane, Rookie of the Year, man. 6th place finish here with the NWRA. Give me a little background, Mark. How did you get started? Where did your racing career come from to get you to these sprint cars?
Well, my grandpa raced back in the day. Never really got to watch him race, but he's told us some stories. But I raced street stocks at Valley, the little dirt demons at Valley. Done that quite a while. Moved up to the mod lights. Did that for about 3 years, and I got talked into going to the sprint cars. Always wanted to drive a sprint car, but never had anybody to help me, and didn't know anything about it. Everybody kind of scared me away from it, and I got Chris Parkinson that kind of talked me into it and dealt with him a little bit. You know, and he helped me a lot, and that's when I got involved in it, and I'd say it's the best move. I have more fun in this car than any car I've ever been in.
I was going to say it's got to be one of those experiences where you're kind of on the edge all the time, and it's not that way, I don't think, in a dirt demon or a street stock or anything like that.
No, I mean, these cars here, it's fun. Everybody we race with is a blast. Everybody helps everybody. You know, I'm still learning. You know, last year was my best year. Didn't plan on having that good of a year. To get Rookie of the Year, that was good. You know, 6th in points out of, I think it was 55 guys. That's impressive for a first time in the car.
Absolutely, and I have to ask you, what was that very first night like in this thing? Were you a little bit nervous getting out there? Because, I mean, these guys get after it, man. They don't mess around.
The first time I went to I-35 in practice, first time I hit the gas pedal, like, oh, what's this thing going to do? Kind of got a little scared, but, you know, I mean, it was fine. And getting in the group, the pack with the cars, you know, my biggest thing is, you know, you don't have a clutch, you just go. And, but, yeah, it was a little nervous, but it was a good time.
Plus, I think the thing that would be more unnerving than anything else would be the open wheels, because you know, in a stock car or any of them other cars, you don't have to worry too much about that. But was that in the back of your mind a little?
Yeah, you know, when you run body cars, you know, you got plenty of room there before you even hit the tires. On these, you know, you do a little wheel touch. It can be scary. I mean, you know, your right rear sticks out there quite a bit. You know, you feel like, you know, when you come out of the corners, you're right up against the wall, but you're really not. But it is kind of scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was your best finish in an A main last year?
My A main was our last race at Bethany. I started in the back of the pack, and I finished, I want to believe, maybe 10th, right behind Chris. We had a race. You know, it was going to separate the Rookie of the Year. Kyle Lewis, he would have won it if he would have started the race. He had motor problems, and then Dakota Earls, he started at like 5th. He moved back 4, and I moved up 4, and I knew I had to race hard to beat him, and we ended up beating him by 5 points.
Well, a good deal, 5 points. That's a pretty decent spread. I mean, you can brag about that. That's not something that's 1 point or anything like that. But tell you what, tell us just a little bit about your hot rod here. What kind of chassis and who's building the motors and the shock package or anything you can reveal without telling too much.
It's an ART. It's an older chassis. I mean, there's nothing fancy, but I bought it from Brian Beebe, his grandpa Jerry. They helped me with the motor. Matter of fact, they're building my motor now, getting it done, but still waiting. Other than that, it's, you know, inexpensive. You know, I don't need nothing fancy. I'm looking for some fancier stuff now. I mean, I just bought shocks this year. Got some Mathcos on it this year, adjustable shocks, so that'll make a difference.
I was going to say, anything helps on these things. But I think that it's what's so important to me about these wingless sprint cars, or any sprint car as far as that goes, is basically they haven't changed in 40 years. I mean, what you're running here is what we used to see back in the, late 90s, probably, something like that. Yeah. And, you know, it's not a lot different. It's still just the same car.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, you go back like the Hall of Fame cars, you look at the old sprint cars, and you like, man, I couldn't do that, you know.
Narrow tires.
Yeah. Narrow tires, and they're wearing, you know, not full-face helmets and, you know, stuff like that, you know. But, you know, it's fun. I love it. It's a blast. I mean, I recommend everybody I got a buddy of mine, Ed Griggs, that's getting one this year. He's coming from the Mod Light side.
Okay. All right, boy, them things look like they're a handful. I mean, short wheelbase and plenty of power, but not quite like what's going to be here.
These got way more power. I mean, you hit the throttle on the Mod Light like you're going to go. You hit the gas pedal on this, and it sets you in your seat.
Yeah, absolutely. I presume you're going to be making that first race there in 2 weeks down at Lake of the Ozarks?
I'm not for sure. I'm still, like I said, I'm waiting on the motor to come back now. I borrowed the motor, so I had a motor for the show, but I'm wanting to buy this motor that's in there, but not quite sure what's going to happen with that yet. But yeah, we're going to try to make the races. I'd like to go to Nebraska and run that, but we're not going to make that show.
Where is that race at in Nebraska? Is that I-80 or where is it?
I'm not sure. It's what? Jefferson County. Never been there, but I want to go just so I can say I've been there. I want to try to run the Knoxville this year, and then the Hockett down at Wheatland.
Well, I think everybody wants to run that, just like I was talking to Wyatt. He said that's the one he wants to win, and you can't blame him. I mean, man, that carries a lot of prestige with it. Yeah. And usually they draw in quite a few big-name non-wing drivers down there for that, so it's really a great race. But what are you anticipating most about the upcoming season, just being able to get back out on the track and do it?
This year, my main focus this year is, you know, hopefully we don't have a lot of bad luck. I mean, I had some bad luck last year, but we got it back together and race. But my goal this year is basically just to sit back and just learn the car, do some different setups that I didn't really do a lot last year because I got a shock package this year, which will help me a lot. Just going to basically learn the car more this year and push it a little harder and see what happens.
Absolutely. I think we're all looking forward to the season. I'm wanting to go to I-35 tonight. Of course, they got rained out with that storm. It came through late. But did you have a chance to run up at I-35? I guess you did last year. It sounded like you made most of the races.
Yeah, we raced up there. We actually got to practice. That's where I took my first testing tune. Was we went up there and got some time in. I got familiar with the track, so it made me feel a little comfortable when we first went there. But, I like I-35.
Do you have any up that you've run so far with the Sprint? Is there any track you like more than the others?
No, I mean, they're all fun. It's nice that we don't run one track every Saturday night. It changes everything up. Track conditions always change, but there's not a certain track I would pick, but
I was going to say it's usually where you do the best. That's usually the way it works. Wherever I run the best, I like that track.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I like Lakeside. It's a big track, but I do like it. And I-35 is, I would probably say, it's probably one of my most favorite, just because I know it more than I know the other tracks.
But talking about Lakeside, man, that had to be a thrill going down that straightaway, because you was probably, 15, 20 miles an hour faster than any track you'd ever been at before?
Oh, yeah, it's such in your seat. It's different. You got longer straightaways, more in the gas, but, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you like I did Wyatt, and you were a new guy last year just coming into it. What's the advantages of a new non-wing racer coming to NWRA?
I mean, just going from what I raced, the full, body car stuff, to going to this, I mean, I will always say I wish I'd known this about 10 years ago. I would have got into it then. Everybody kind of scared me away from it. Like, it's too dangerous. You're always spending more money in tires, and I just kind of took that. I didn't know any different. And then, like I said, Chris basically talked me into it, and it was like, all right. And I wish I would have done this 10 years ago because it'd be better than I am now, but it's fun.
Well, all right, Mark, I appreciate you talking with us here at the World of Wheels at the MWRA display. And all I can say is I'm ready to go do some racing, and, man, I'm ready for the wingless sprints. Let's get it on.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, folks, that's going to be at Mark Lane here at the World of Wheels. Hey, folks, we've got the guy from Bristol here, Leroy Morrison. Leroy, man, we talked on the show Thursday night about going down there and what a thrill that was and the speeds. But tell us, how did I think you had a last, what do you call it, qualifier? I can't remember what you call it now.
LCQ.
Yeah, LCQ. And had a miss in the motor. Did you get that worked out first?
Not for the LCQ. We actually came home that Saturday night, the 20th, and got to Valley right at like 1:30. Valley Speedway, pulled right in there off I-70. Huge thanks to Tom Charles who brought us in there, MSD, put in a car, and that was our problem. So we got fixed after Bristol. So I mean, we still had bad luck at Bristol, but still had the fun. Still was able to hold the car wide open, just trail break it in the corners.
Yeah. And how did you finish? I think you started 7th, if I remember right. And I watched the video. It didn't sound like you finished quite where you wanted to be.
Yeah, it was cutting out down the straightaways, and so it flowed through the corners pretty well. But I think we ended up 8th or 10th or 11th. I don't remember exactly the exact spot, but I know it's probably, I think it was out of like 28 cars or something like that. So I think we ended up ranking, I think it was around the 30s or something like that out of all the points and out of 80 some cars that were there. So not too bad a week.
Now, where was it out of 80? 30th?
Yeah, 30-something.
Oh, shoot, that's not bad at all.
No, not for be a local boy here and go down there and kind of be in my first out string or what am I trying to say? Just,
out of town racing.
Well, just kind of stepping out of the bubble and getting into one of these A-mods.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, you run some A-mod races, but it was with an E-mod, so it has to be a different experience. But like I say, I know all the racers and all the fans here around Kansas City are proud of what you did down there. We talked to Gunner for a little while there at the end of the show Thursday, and Gunner with that 8th place finish in the A-main, but I know you're a little disappointed, but still you come back with a wealth of knowledge, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, he had Gunner and Martin kind of put a tune on our engine, try to help us out. Gunner and Larry Martin, very nice guys. Just kind of went down their pit, told them what was happening, and they kind of went through some stuff, thought they got fixed. But still, I mean, it definitely made the car run better than what it was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I say, I'm sure there was some knowledge there that you're going to be able to transfer into this season.
Speed.
And and help you get out there. I was a little disappointed. I seen the video. Looked like you spun out at Valley there in between 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was picked up the gas, wasn't because we still had the right side springs from Bristol, so we had about 200 more pound springs on the right side than we're used to. And I went to roll in there, and the car was so stiff. Usually it rolls over, hooks and goes. You know, it didn't roll. It just kind of slid. Tires just like it's just hitting, you know, solid against solid, and just slid. And I'm like, ooh.
Not good.
No.
Not good.
No.
But anyway, displaying the car down here at the World of Wheels.
Left the Bristol dirt.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a little plaque here and placed somewhere, I guess, in your class.
Somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere, we'll see.
Somewhere. But anyway, folks, we got to talk to Leroy for about 30 minutes. I hate to cut it short, Leroy, but like I say, we got you on for about 30 minutes or so there Thursday night. But glad to see you back in town. Looking forward to the season. I know you are. When's the first race, man?
Probably April 17th down at Lucas Oil Speedway. Probably going to do a double duty between USRA Modified and then we're in our Mocan Pure Stock down there.
Okay.
Doing double duty.
All right. And give me that date again.
April 17th.
April 7th. So that's, what, 3 weeks yet, I think. Pretty close. 2.5.
Yeah, we're setting our time to go back through the car because we just came from a high bank track, high miles. You know, like our left front ball joint is a little bit loose right now. I could see it where it kind of unscrewed itself from the A-arm, you know. We have a little bit of oil leak here and there. So we got to go through and just go through nut bolt the car, replace bolts. I got, on my left front here, I got a swedge tube that's bent on from my upper A-arm just a little bit. Yeah. You know, it's kind of those things, you know, it'd be a little expensive because they're all Weir's parts and stuff up here, but what we have to do.
It is what it is. I think one of the things that Gunner told me during that interview there Thursday night was he was talking about how the vibration at that speed. He said he'd never felt anything like that. Did you kind of have that too?
Yeah, quite a bit of vibration. Just the speed around those tracks, and you just hit this a little tiny hole, and it would just obstruct the car because we were so speeding and we're so forced down to the track, almost like the NASCAR cars are when they're racing asphalt there. So you feel every little bump in the track, and you know, every little bit obstructed the car. But you still, even going through the bumps, you just kept the foot to the floor, and you could feel yourself. You got a little bit free, you know, towards some of our features. The car was getting a little free on us, but basically you held it wide open, trail braked in the corner, and kept her to the floor.
Okay, Leroy. Folks, once again, Leroy Morrison, just back from Bristol, as you saw there a while ago. And anyway, Leroy, we're looking forward to the racing season, man. Let's get with it.
You know, try, have fun. We'll see you at a track near you.
All right. We caught up with Shawnee Lanning here at the World of Wheels. Shawnee had one of your biggest fans on the show Thursday night. Lisa Burlington was on with us, and I managed to sneak a picture of one of yours in there with her suite of pictures that she brought for the show. But down here at the World of Wheels, having a good time. Boy, the car just looks absolutely super.
Thank you. It's one of my favorites this time, so this is my most favorite one out of all of them.
The favorite rap you've ever had? Tell me this, who did that?
Cody Brill.
Cody Brill. Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, that guy can do some good stuff. Now, did he do the body also?
No, that is all Ethan and Lucas Isaacs.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they do a good job, too. They keep this car looking sharp all the time. Plus, I know you guys pit pretty close to each other, and they kind of help you out on, your setup and stuff like that.
Oh, yes, they do a lot for me, and I appreciate those two boys more than anything.
I have to ask this question because I think a lot of race fans want to know what is it really like for a woman in a male-dominated sport? I mean, it has to be kind of tough on you.
All I keep telling everyone, as long as you put your mind to it, you can do it. Same thing with a female being in a man's sport. You can put your mind to anything as long as you want to do it.
Well, I think we had you on the show once, and we were talking about all the competition that you were in high school as far as sports there, and how you used to make girls cry.
Yeah, I played basketball, I did softball, I did powerlifting. I also was a manager for football, so yeah, I did a lot in high school.
And that had to have helped prepare you for this because, you know, I kind of kid some of these guys, and I ask some of them if they're in any kind of training during the winter to get ready for the season coming up, and of course I think they all laugh. But, you know, really, in an evening's time, especially in the summer when it's really hot, I mean, that's got to be really physically demanding on a person.
Somewhat. I just drink a lot of water and Gatorade the night before and the day of. A lot of it is body armor too, but it's mostly Gatorade and water.
That pretty much keeps you hydrated and ready to go for the night, and because there's just so much concentration required when you're behind that wheel. I mean, it may only be for 7 or 8 minutes, but that's 7 or 8. I guess I want to compare it to like wrestling, where they only wrestle 3, 2-minute rounds. But I did a little bit of that myself in high school, and you talk about physically demanding, and the race car driving has to be the same way because that 7 or 8 minutes that you're out there, it's just total concentration.
You use a lot of muscles in a race car, like, so people don't think it until like you get in the car. Like, I use a lot of my abs and a lot of my arms, especially in big races, but it's a lot of hard work, more than you think.
I can't imagine. It has to be power steering, right?
Oh yeah, they're definitely power steering this.
I was going to say, the old guys, when you used to see them, well, I mean, big forearms and all that for, you know, wrestling them cars around. But tell you what, tell me a little bit about the chassis, the shock package, and the motor builder.
So this is a HBJ 2013. They built it for Ethan, and then one of our buddies bought it, and then it never hit the track until last year. With everything that happened last year, I'm glad it did what it did. Then this year we're moving up in the to the B mods.
Oh, really?
Yep. And then JT Racing Engines does my engine. And then the shock package, we haven't decided on which one we're going with yet, so that's still questionable up in the air.
Okay, give me a name on JT. I mean, I don't know who that is person-wise.
I want to say, I forgot his name. I just call him JT. I want to say Jason something.
Okay. All right. Well, it'll come around. We'll figure out who it is.
Yeah.
But I presume, of course, you had the car in the show, so you must not have been racing at I-35 tonight.
No, I wasn't even planning on. I was going to go watch, but I was not going to race.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Boy, I was wanting to go. I was looking so forward to it. I want to smell some race fuel.
I do too. I smell this and I'm like, ooh, it's close.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about the chassis builders, those the Isaac brothers, I know I'm just a video guy, but it seems to me like they have to be one of the top 2 or 3 in chassis building right now, especially for the B mod, E mod ranks, because between them, what they win, and the cars that they built that people win, because you won a points championship up there 2 years ago. Now, was that an HP chassis?
Yes. Yes, it was. That was, actually, I think. No, that was my Schweitzer. That had HBJ setups on it.
Oh, okay.
And then
So they still had a hand in it.
Yes. Yes, and then Casey's from this year's was a half HBJ too.
All right. It's got to be a real advantage to be pitting by those guys. I mean, it's almost like having, well, it is like having your chassis builder right beside you, where if you have a question, well, you can go find out what the answer is.
I have a lot of questions. I don't even have to be at the track to ask. I can just text them one of them. Like this whole week I've been texting Ethan, so it's handy.
Yeah. You know, besides being good chassis builders, to me, both of them are just excellent race car drivers, too. And do they ever give you little tips or things you might do while you're out on the track?
Oh, yes. So when Ethan raced with me the last night at I-35 last year, I got feedback like crazy, but from both Ethan and Lucas. So it's
You ran an E-mod a couple of times.
only once that night on Halloween night, and we both ran first and second.
But like I say, that's, well, it'd be almost like somebody following you that, you know, was videoing what you were doing or whatever, only mentally instead of with a camera.
Yeah, it's fun. I get feedback even when they're not there. They watch, so they'll text me and goes, you need to do this. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, folks, we've caught up with Shawnee Lanning down here at the World of Wheels. And Shawnee, boy, I'll tell you what, I sure wish 35 had run tonight. I was really looking forward to it. But next week, you'll be there next week with all things ready to go?
No, not unfortunately. We're too far out for the race ready.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought you'd be all ready to go.
We're getting there, but not really.
All right. Okay. But stepping up to B-Mods also this year, folks, so don't forget about that. You're going to have to watch your classes and watch for Shawnee there in the B-Mods. But that's going to do it here for Shawnee Lanning from the World of Wheels for 2021. Thanks a lot, Shawnee. It's been a blast. Always fun to talk to you, and I love that smile.
Thank you. Thank you.
Folks, we caught up with Michael Knight. I'm sorry. And I think you're going to be running it looks like a stock car here. And where are you going to be doing that at, Michael?
Friday nights at Lakeside Speedway, and then Saturdays at CMS.
Okay. Now, what's your background coming into this season? Where have you been as far as your racing career so far?
I started racing in 2012 when I was in the Army in Texas, and then stopped for a couple years, had some rough luck, and just it was a little hard as a private in the Army, so I gave it up for a couple years. And then when I got out of the Army, got back into stock car racing, and then went to an E-Mod, and then just got this stock car again last year. Then got turned head on into the wall, so we had to completely rebuild this year. So yep.
Start over from scratch, boy.
Pretty much. It's a brand spanking new car. Everything's brand new now, so I didn't really have much of a choice.
Yeah. Well, I noticed it's got shocker chassis, so I presume they are the builders. But tell me a little bit about who's building the horsepower for it and what kind of shocks you're running.
I actually run FX shocks by Wade Cross. I run a F1 Racing Engines motor. It's got my buddy down in Texas. He's been my sponsor, my motor builder for years. I take the long drive, 13-hour drive all the way down there just to get my motors. But F1 Racing Engines is my motor builder, but right now I got a loaner motor in it because the cold decided to crack my block this winter, so had a little bit of hard luck there. So
Not enough antifreeze, baby.
Well, I didn't even put no antifreeze. We had such a mild winter that, I figured it was going to be okay, and then I put water in it, and then we had those 2 weeks of just blistering cold out of nowhere, and it got me. It hurt me. So.
Now, where were you racing at mostly last year?
Last year I raced Lakeside Speedway full-time, and then I-35 on Saturdays for part of the season, and then I just focused on Lakeside Speedway till I got junked. Till my car got junked.
Well, and Lakeside's kind of a good place to do that because the speeds are a little higher out there, and, just a little mistake or something, and those walls are very hard.
Yeah, the walls are not forgiving. They win every time.
Absolutely. But how did you finish in the points out there last year? I know you wrecked out, but how did you finish?
Oh, man, I don't even remember. I think I was running about 6th or 7th in points, and I missed a month for work. I had to go to work in California, and I missed a month. I think when I got wrecked, I was 6th or 7th, and then at the end of the season, I think I finished 13th or 14th. Yeah. Didn't get to finish inside the top 10 like I was hoping, but...
Well, with missing so many races, well, that's kind of understandable. But who do you think is the guy to beat at Lakeside if you want to try and work your way up the ladder out there? Who is it that I guess is one of your stiffest competitors that each week you just feel like you have to beat?
Well, if we were going off past seasons, I'd definitely say Brett Heater, and without a doubt, Brett Heater, Kevin Anderson. Nick Whalen, those guys are hard to beat, but you got upcoming Tommy Ground. That man can drive a car. Casey Shields. Oh, I can't even forget Tim Shields. That man can wheel a car. That man can wheel a car. So between all them, it's just stock cars are no joke. They are no joke.
I just remembered here a while back, I was talking with Tim. He just opened up a garage over north of the river there on Antioch. And I think he told me he started out or at one time raced sprint cars.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I do know, like, they said he sold his car. I know because he sold his car to one of my sponsors, David Oxford. So, yeah, I don't even think he's racing this year. As far as I know, I don't think he's running. It's just his boy.
Well, maybe he's trying to concentrate on that business. 'Cause
That's
like
what
I
I'm
say,
hearing.
he just started up that garage up here and did a heck of a job. He saved me $1,100
Oh, goodness.
on a job that he did for me. I went to one garage and they wanted $1,600. He did it for $5. But anyway,
There you go.
but like stiff competition out there,
Oh,
and of
yeah.
course I-35 is no better.
Oh, no, this stock cars out. I can't even remember his name, but that yellow car, and then Jeff Dixon, and then Doug Keller. There's almost no beating. I remember running against him in a heat, and I left. I just left, and I was running the low side, kept the low side the whole time, and then next thing I know, took the white flag. He comes on the outside of me in turn 2, and I'm like, all I do is look up. No! I knew he was coming.
He had a tremendous year. I'm trying to remember 18 wins, if I remember right, last year.
I know he finished second in national points. He was, right there for going to win national points.
Tough racer. I mean, B mods. He even raced. What's the class
He
under
raced,
NASCAR?
he used to race ARCA.
Yeah, ARCA in ARCA, and he said just the cost eventually got prohibitive on that. But anyway, man, a terrific display that you've got down here, Mike. And maybe I get to see you up at I-35. I don't get out to Lakeside too much anymore. But
I'm sure I'll be up there at some point. Yeah.
I'll be watching for you, and maybe we can get together and do a show sometime or something.
Absolutely.
But thanks for talking with us here. Once again, Michael Knight here at the World of Wheels in a stock car that he's going to be racing pretty much at Lakeside and I-35. Thanks for talking with us, Mike.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks.
There you go. Caught up with Cameron Cook, and Cameron Cook is going to try his luck this year at racing I think they're called limited late models up at I-35. And you're telling me that this is going to be your first full season, Cameron. Man, have you taken on a chore, buddy?
Yes, sir. I raced one time last year in a Grand National at Lakeside Speedway, and I'm going to try it this year. So hopefully I can keep up with a couple people.
A couple people,
Yeah.
man. That's a tough class up there. And of course, one of the old wily veterans that races at Kerry Davis, and I'm thinking he had, if I remember right, 18 wins up there at I-35. So it's going to be kind of hard to break into that bunch up there. Plus, really, they've got some guys that come down from Iowa up there and race. And man, that's going to, you picked a tough row to hoe. I just can't emphasize how tough that's going to be. Let me ask you this, Cameron. Do you have a good pit crew and some good backing with you, or is this pretty much a lone dog deal?
It's really just me and my dad every single night, honestly. We, from 5 months ago to now, we're ready to go racing, just me and him. Yep.
Have you had any kind of education about dealing with these 4 links or any of that? I mean, man, that can be a nightmare.
No, this is actually still a 3-link car, and it doesn't have a quick change either. So I'm going in pretty blind, trying my luck. We'll see.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's just so many people anymore, especially by the time they get to this level of racing, one, have raced like 3 or 4 other classes. The horsepower, I don't know, what size motor are you guys running in here?
This one's actually just a small block. It's got everything done to it. It's got a 4-barrel carb, everything else really, but I don't know. It's not going to be the fastest one out there, but I'm sure going to try. Yeah. I'm hoping the weight of the car will keep me pretty balanced. It's on the lighter side, so I'm hoping that'll help.
Well, like I say, it'll be a handful, but it'll also be a learning experience. And the only suggestion I might have is start in the back and just keep control of the car and race the track, not the people around you.
Yeah. I'm just really wanting some seat time. As much as I can get. We're going to make a trip down to Enid, Oklahoma later on this year. Hopefully I can get some more experience before I head down there with some bigger class. But we're going to give it a shot. We'll see.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the car. What kind of chassis it is, and who's making the horsepower, and what is the shock package that you're going to be running?
So this is a 08 Lafolic. So it's been around for a while. But the motor, me and my dad built it in our garage. So I can't say too much about that right now.
You'll find out later on.
Yeah. And it's pretty basic on shocks. It's just got Alfco shocks, and that's about it. Swift Springs. So, I mean, it's pretty simple. We're going to keep it simple for this first year.
Boy, I can't imagine what that first night is going to be like out there. I've heard of guys throwing up before they go out and whatever, but when you're sitting in that hot pit there with all them big motors roaring around you, and to pull out on that track is going to be quite an experience. In fact, I tell you what, we got a show on Thursday nights that we do, and maybe after you run that first race, we'll get a chance to talk to you. Now, since you had the car in the show here tonight, you evidently weren't going to race 35 tonight.
No, we wanted to wait till the 3rd. We wanted to fill some things out first. We have to fix a few things before race, but we're getting there. We're pretty close.
Now, have you had it out for a test and tune?
No, I haven't been anywhere with it. I've been at show sponsors with all my sponsors lately, so I had to make a promise to them, show them off. So other than that.
Okay, talking about sponsors, tell us about some of the people that are going to be behind you this season as far as this operation goes.
So we have Kansas City Hauling. They're anything and everything you need hauled, as in pea gravel, mulch, anything like that. Insurance Express, any car insurance, house insurance, they'll take care of it. And Madre Brooks is a country singer out of Tennessee, so he's pretty good. Picasso's Painting, painting lessons, tours, anything throughout Kansas City, they'll take care of that side. And that's all we have for right now. Yep.
Well, you go out there and win a couple, they'll start piling up, man. You'll have more than you want, I'm sure. But anyway, Cameron Cook, folks, going to be running late models at I-35 this year. Of course, that's kind of a semi-limited class up there, not to diminish the late models any, but it's going to be his first experience in a late model. So that could be interesting to watch, folks. I think I may want to be there on the first night, which if it's did you say next week you're on?
On the 3rd.
I'm probably going to be there. So we'll have video of this that we can show. And like I said, we might have you on the show to talk to you about how that goes. But Cameron Cook, new in the late model series, looking forward to it. Thanks for talking to us, Cameron, here at the World of Wheels, man. Looking forward to it, man. Let's have some fun this race season.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Spend some money, too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we've caught up with Ava Dixon, and 12 years old, and you're going to be driving a pure stock. Is that right?
Yes.
At what track, dear?
I-35.
I-35 Speedway. Man, I'll tell you what, I bet you're going to have some fun. Have you done go-karts or motorcycles or anything to get you kind of prepared for this?
No.
No. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Kind of what are you anticipating? Because you don't even have a driver's license, so you don't know what it's like to drive on the street. So I presume you've had some time to get in a little wheel time?
Yeah, I had 2 practices at I-35.
At I-35. And how did that go?
Pretty good. Had my first spin out. It's fine.
Pretty fast?
Yeah, it's pretty fun, though.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, even that pure stock class up there is pretty tough. You know, I was just over talking to Michael Young, I think it was his name, and he's going to be racing stock cars up there, and that's a really tough class. But you're going to have your hands full. But I'm going to tell you, like I told the late model guy over here that's just first year in late models, just start in the back and take it kind of easy. Don't race nobody. Race the track is what you do, you know, and protect the car.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to try to do that for a while. I'm very competitive, but I will try to, I'll do that for a while. I'll be in the back.
Yeah.
But get my way working up there through the season, so.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you got it to where you can make it around the corners and keep it straight down the straightaway, well, you're halfway there.
Yeah. Because, at practices, it's been pretty good. I'm just getting in the groove, just staying low, keeping everything where I'm supposed to be, and, you know, just kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to ask you, did they have to modify the seat any of the pedals for you to be able to reach?
Uh-huh. We had to have the, so I can turn the car on and everything. That all had to come up because I could not reach.
Okay, so kind of like the whole dashboard had to come toward you.
Yep.
I love it. How about the pedals? Did it have to do anything to them?
Yeah, the brakes mostly, I think, because I couldn't really reach it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, so no racing experience at all before this. It's all going to be an all new deal. Now, you say competitive. when I think about that, now, did you do any other sports like in junior high or anything like that?
Any sports, I do softball.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the only sport I do.
That's the only one you play?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be watching for you. Now, this isn't your car. We're in front of Ron Hill's car. But what is your car and what number will it be?
I am 3A in pure stocks.
In pure stocks. And what is it? I presume an old Chevy of some kind?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Anyway, driver should know what the car is and what kind of chassis and, Daddy's old car. Yeah, I forgot. What's your dad's name?
Brandon Dixon.
Brandon Dixon. Now, is he an old racer himself?
Yeah, about a year and a half experience.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Well, this looks like it's going to be some fun, folks. I think we all should be there maybe next Saturday night at I-35 and see what happens here with Ava. Ava, thanks a lot for talking with us, girl, and have fun out there, which I know you will, because I just can't imagine what it'd be like to be out there on the racetrack with all them guys. But another female driver up there at I-35. Thank you, Ava.
Thank you for having me.
Uh-huh. Okay, folks, there you go. There's your interviews from the World of Wheels this past Saturday. And I want to thank all of those once again. Let me mention that. It was Wyatt Burks and Mark Lane, the two drivers, the points champion and the Rookie of the Year from the MWRA. And also Leroy Morrison telling us about his experiences at Bristol. Shawnee Lanning talking about getting ready for the upcoming season. And Michael Knight, stock car driver, going to be participating in stock cars at I-35 and Lakeside Speedway. And then Cameron Cook in the limited late models at I-35. And then 12-year-old Ava Dixon, they're going to be competing in the pure stocks at I-35. So once again, let me thank John Backlund for, like I say, kind of last-minute deal, accepting the challenge to come on and talk a little bit about his racing career and those wonderful pictures that we got to see of race cars and different tracks and stuff way back, and some of them back into the 60s. So just a lot of fun. And, of course, I want to thank my co-host, Greg Clemens, for coming over and sitting in with us. And I just might mention, kind of got on the internet today and kind of started checking it out, and from what I can tell, here are the tracks that will be running this weekend. So if you're in that area or interested in those tracks or just can't fight it off any longer and you want to get out to a racetrack somewhere, here's your choices. How about Humboldt, 81 Speedway, Lucas Oil, I-35, and just talking with Greg just before he left, KC Raceway has a 2-day show this weekend. They will be running Thursday and Friday. What am I talking about? Friday and Saturday. And then Valley, of course, the opening night is Saturday night for them. Double X will be starting up. Springfield Raceway and Moberly are all going to be firing up this weekend. So quite a bit of choice there, the tracks that you can go to in the area and kick the season off and get things started for 2021 here in the racing community in and around the Kansas City area. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the show here tonight. Hope you have enjoyed it. As we always say, if you did, call a friend, tell somebody, start a watch party, but just let them know what we're doing here at the Works Local Racing Roundup. Also, if you didn't like the show, we understand, because we probably didn't have your favorite driver on this week, but that's okay. Just check back on Facebook and see what's going to be lined up for next week. Kind of give you a little hint, I think next week for the Where Are They Now part, I think we've got a late model driver already lined up. I won't break that until probably Wednesday or so, but that'll definitely be a part of next week. Plus, we're going to have some good pictures again. He couldn't make it tonight, but I got 3 albums from him, so we'll be having a bunch more of a lot of old race cars from, back in, I'm going to say late 70s, early 80s, somewhere around there for next week. But anyway, like I say, on behalf of myself, Greg Clemens, co-host, John Backlund, and all the other guests that we had on, Wyatt Burks, Mark Lane, Leroy Morrison, Shawnee Lanning, Michael Knight, Cameron Cook, and Ava Dixon. Want to wish you all a good night, and hopefully we will get to see you maybe next week. Like I say, check on Facebook Wednesday or Thursday, and you can see who we're going to be having on for guests, so it might be somebody that you're interested in. Thanks for watching tonight, folks, and good night.